Rottrevore, welcome to 69 Face of Rock. How are you guys doing today?
Good.
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Excellent. Introduce yourself and tell me what you do in the band.
Mark Mastro, guitar, vocals.
Chris Weber, guitar and vocals as well.
Brian Baxter, bass.
Jared Altamar, drums.
Okay. So, what were the beginnings of Rottrevore?
Long time ago.
I know.
Yeah. This is probably going back to 89, I guess.
Yeah, the end of the 1980s.
That's right.
Yeah, me and Chris knew each other, and we started playing a little bit together. And we went out finding a local guy, Chris. He played bass, and we just started jamming with him up at his house, and it just kind of spawned from there. And then we actually got a friend of his from, was it high school?
Yeah.
With drums, and it was just a natural fit together. That was from the demo days up to the first 7-inch that we did.
So, when you formed, what kind of a band did you want to be?
We wanted to have an extreme sound, even above and beyond drop tuning, just extreme sound as far as the mood that the music creates. Extreme vocals, extreme guitar soloing, lyrical content that's kind of irregular, and just make an impact with the overall audio experience.
Mm-hmm. Newer members, what attracted you guys to join Rottrevore?
At least for me, I'm actually a longtime fan of Rottrevore.
Same.
And you know, we talked about a long time ago. You know, I was sort of busy, but then, you know, a little while ago, I'm like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to come jam with the Rottrevore, because, you know, me and Webb talked for, you know, years and years. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go join Rottrevore, and yeah, so we're getting things back on track, and yeah, it seems like now that things are probably going better than ever. We got a lot of new music. We're getting very active. Definitely want a beer. And yeah, so things are better than ever in Rot. You know, we got Jared here.
I knew Christian, one of the original drummers, or one of the drummers in Rottrevore. I went to high school with him, and he introduced me to Rottrevore then, and I was always a death metal fan. And somehow years later, I met Mark at a tattoo studio where I worked at, and talked about joining the band. We formed Iniquitous, and I've always been a Rot fan. And in 2021, I asked him to get together and play some music, and here we are.
Very good. Explain your name. It's kind of an unusual name. Yeah.
We were just discussing this the other day, down at Jared's house, and his son was asking us where we came up with the name. It's a made-up name. There's a little local restaurant. Here, I'll give them a plug. Eaton Park Restaurant down in Monongahela, Pennsylvania, which is south of Pittsburgh. Me and Chris probably went through a pot and a half, 2 pots of coffee one night. We were just trying to come up with a name. A lot of the good names were kind of taken. So we're like, okay, we started throwing a bunch of syllables out there that sounded cool. You know, we knew if Iniquitous, we kind of like that word "vor" just because of what it means. And we knew that, you know, rotten was kind of a cool word, and we needed to kind of smash them up together. So it literally became Rottrevore. We pulled it out of our asses. You know, if I could say asses on
It's very French sounding in a way.
Yeah, it's
French.
it's just
I like that. I never heard that.
never heard that.
Rottrevore, not Rottrevore.
That's to set the record straight. To set the record straight, it's not Rottrevore, it's Rottrevore. Rottrevore.
Yeah, we were literally obsessed with the word rotten. And that can even come from something as simple as an album that was entitled Slowly We Rot, from
That's
the
right.
beloved Obituary.
And speaking of albums and even demos back in those early days, your first demo came out in what, 1990? How popular was it at that time?
That's correct. It was very popular, considering it was all done like on cassette tapes and just word of mouth, and where, when, and if we'd play small local shows to sell the actual copies that we made. And then we kind of left it on tape traders to make copies off of that with dual cassette decks, and it spread around, and I would say it was very popular.
Definitely.
I know I got it back in the day, so.
You know, it worked. The demo eventually led to 2 EPs, right? How would you describe band's progress at the time?
Pardon me?
How would you describe the band's progress?
I would say we evolved as any other band would kind of evolve. We were just talking about
Chicago Trade.
Yeah, we were just talking about this the other day. We had a 5-song demo that we did in '90, and if we can go back and do it again, we probably would have only done 3 songs, and then the first 7-inch we would have put the other 2 that were on that, and then the next 7-inch we probably would have put those 2 on there, and then for the album we would have had a release of 4 new songs as opposed to only 2. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of like the evolution of where that started with the demos to the 2 7-inches, eventually led up to the album.
So the album that came out in what, 1993 originally?
Yep.
How do you reflect on it now?
How do we reflect on it now?
Yeah.
I think considering when it was made and the studio that produced it, I think it's the most impactful thing and the most positive thing for this band is that album alone, that almost happened by accident, but it's carrying everything for us. Mm-hmm. Certainly.
Definitely an impactful album.
Yeah,
sure.
great record.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, the old songs are so fun to play.
Very fun to play,
Fun to
definitely.
play.
Loved listening to it when I was younger, and getting to play the songs now, it's pretty neat.
The record was reissued recently. Do you find yourself finding new fan base of people who are discovering it for the first time?
Yeah, I think the last several shows that we did over the last probably 3.5 years, there were some people at shows that never heard of us, and they kind of kindled up a liking for us. Yeah, so definitely a new fan base.
The band broke up in what, 1995? What happened?
Just everybody was busy with their own lifestyles and occupations and home and family lives, and one of the guys ended up going into the military, and it just got really slow and just faded out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in 2005, you did a compilation, Disembodied. What led to that?
Roy Fox from Necroharmonica approached us, and he wanted to do kind of a collaboration of old material and some live stuff, and we said, yeah, go ahead and run with it, brother. Run with it. Shout out to Roy.
How do people respond to that?
I guess at the time they responded pretty good. Mm-hmm. They was anxious to have maybe another piece of material in their hands. It wasn't really new, but it was I think it was remastered a little bit, with some live stuff and some different stuff on it.
I think it was really good to have, especially at that time, because a lot of people didn't have a lot of the old stuff and the demos, EPs, whatever. So get a compilation out like that, was really good. Gain some new fans and all that. So definitely a good thing.
Is it still available?
You'd have to ask Roy, right?
Sure about that.
Uh-huh. No, it's not.
In fact, are you in charge of your own material? Do you own all the rights?
That's kind of a funny question. That recording that we did for Dave Rotten, that was originally released on Drown, and obviously he's moved on to Extreme Records. They technically paid for that recording. I know where the reels are at, though. They're hidden in a
Vault.
yeah, they're hidden in a vault. But as far as that release right there, we would never even think on releasing that with anybody else other than Dave. Dave's treated us pretty good, and shout out to Dave Rotten. Yeah.
It took 16 years for the band to reunite. What were you doing during the downtime?
I was playing this guitar.
This guitar, right there.
Yeah, and I was playing songs that people like and know, and I was trying to incorporate some scary music. They didn't, some of them like that.
Well, you got rock going again after the big hiatus.
Yeah.
It was you that got it back together.
But anyways, no, I still played my electric guitar and played rock material, but I played a lot of acoustic guitar, and I still do, and I play both now.
Yeah. So what sparked the reunion in 2011, I believe, right?
Sure, why don't you go ahead and take that one here?
No, 11 was
him.
Well, yeah, I had a place and a position in my life where I had the free time, and so I was coming back home to Pittsburgh, and the drummer at the time that ended up in the Air Force and put in 20 plus years, he and I got back together and pulled the band back together because we were available to do it, and we still had that passion for making music. But even so, that didn't last real long with him and other things.
By the Eye Sockets EP.
The EP, yeah.
Yeah, you did a demo and an EP. How would you describe the music at that time?
You know, well, the EP is something for me that's hard to I don't know talk my feelings about on it, because it's a production where the drumming is kind of overplayed, and I had other plans and intentions for that recording, and he insisted on pushing it out there, and so it's kind of I kind of aborted it, if you will.
Yeah. So after this little breakup, you came back again during pandemic, of all times. Why then? And what kind of sparked that?
Jared was the motivation for that.
Yeah, I was playing in another band at the time, and I don't know. I just was talking with the guys, and I don't know, asked them, hey, let's get together. We were going to play one show and maybe record a couple songs. But we played one show, and then we got offered another show, and we got offered a Maryland Death Fest, and then we got offered some other shows and a micro tour, and we wrote songs, and we're going to put an album out. So it's kind of me. I don't know. I asked them. They're both my friends.
They're blaming you for that.
They're blaming me for this. But I've been a fan, you know, of this band for years. You know what I mean? Rottrevore. But no, I don't know. I wanted to play the songs, and I asked them. Not too long, or before that, I kind of got together with Chris and was learning a couple tunes, couldn't do it, and then eventually I was able to make time for it, and I asked them, and here we are, man. You know, I told them I could do it. You know, and it's great music. I love playing it, man.
So now that you're a little bit older and wiser, how does the band operate in balance with your regular lives?
I think everybody's probably in a position with their life. I think everybody's done making babies, and everybody's got their career kind of locked in with their jobs. It definitely helps that Jared, Chris, and myself all live within probably 8 or 10 miles of each other. So that it makes it real helpful. Ryan obviously lives in south of Cleveland. He gets down there as often as he can.
Yeah.
But that's that really helps out the situation. If we had to do things long distance, I don't think it would work. But Jared, Chris, and myself, we're all local. We live in the Mon Valley, which is south of Pittsburgh, about 35 minutes or so.
Very good. Are you currently working on any new music?
Oh yeah,
Certainly, yeah.
We have like 7 songs almost complete now, and we're gonna play a bunch tonight. But yeah, we're writing. I mean, everything's been pretty good with the writing process. It's a little slow at times, but we're getting real creative with it. So I'm proud of it.
Plus, at the end of the day, I mean, at least I feel that this new material is definitely the best material that the band, has so far. And every new song is really good. Gives you that certain real dismal type feel, dark feel to it. Real creepy type. But I try to look at it from a fan standpoint as well. And this new music is definitely the best stuff that Rot's ever done, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love it.
So yeah, we're pretty stoked to continue the writing and get a new full length out.
Yeah, one thing I might add is I think, kind of back to the question before, is to reunite this band has a lot to do with the newer generation having exposure, and I don't like to use terms and cliches like that. I'm just going to call it old-fashioned metal. And anyways, I think a lot of the newer generation wants to embrace the feel of the older stuff. And so there's a lot of metal bands, underground metal bands that even come out today, if that's even appropriate to call them underground, that they don't capture that same spirit. And so with us reuniting and even making new songs now, we believe in ourselves to where we can recapture that old spirit and sound like what the old used to, because that's where most of my favorite music comes from, is like 1995 and earlier, with rare exceptions like bands like Hate Eternal. and Cannibal Corpse. They're great bands, but there's a lot of metal, and I don't want to mention names that just don't appeal to me, like old death metal from 1995 or earlier. So I think for the listeners, there's they really have a hunger and a thirst for the older style music, and there's a lot of people I think that would believe in us as a unit to produce just such music.
Makes sense. Mark and Chris, you are the two consistent members of the band. Can you explain your dynamic?
Well, me and Chris have known each other since 1988, something like that. And Chris was in another band with a bunch of other local guys, Chaotic Plague. They did a couple demos, and at one point they wound up breaking up, and then just me and Chris just started talking, and we just started playing with each other. Chris has been with it since day one. I took a hiatus 95 up until I was busy making babies and working on my job, and just the career, and just buying a house and doing all kind of adulting stuff. So when we got back together, it just was kind of a natural fit. It was a natural fit here. I think our chemistry's pretty good,
And let me add this too. When I was kind of out of touch with underground death metal, when there was a new band that came along in that interim that had a heavy sound, a grinding guitar sound, and an outstanding bass, great production, and sounded really extreme, Mark felt a need to hey, you got to check out this band. You got to check out this band. So I myself, I embrace all the Floridian death metal, if you will, and even so, as much or even maybe more of an influence to our own music is the Scandinavian and the European death metal of the Swedish bands, the Finnish bands, and that whole region over there. And so we both like that, like grinding guitar sounds and heavy bass sounds. And so bouncing back and forth with that kind of inspiration has always kept us interested in trying to make heavy guitar parts and slam dance and chunk parts and stuff.
Cool. And how do you guys relate to that dynamic?
Here's the thing with the dynamic with these two. They are both totally different writing style, almost like opposite spectrums, okay? But when they come together and they put it together, it just goes together so well. Mark will bring a lot of the more simple, catchy chunk style, and then Webb will just throw something real creepy over top of it. And then, obviously Jared's got the perfect backbone to it, and then I do my thing to it as well. But just that whole dynamic of these two being such a different style writing, but coming together.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's really cool.
Because
it makes the song so interesting because you still have that chunk, that heaviness, that dark feel, and then creepy Chris right here puts that creep type lead stuff over it. It's like, oh wow, it changes the dynamic a little bit, and it meshes together so good. So that's another reason I really like this newer material, because it gives that whole feel to it, which a lot of bands don't do. They don't have a feel to their music like that.
A lot of that creepy stuff kind of begins on the neck of this guitar.